Okay, sixth grade. I will tell you our objective in a second. Before I do, in regards to the email on Blackboard, I want you guys to try this at school today. I set up a message system. So if you go into Blackboard, the very last tab says email messages. It's really not an email because there's not a way for you guys to check it through Blackboard since I don't have you hooked up to Gmail. So how this works is you'll go into Blackboard, if you click on email messages, okay, you can go at the top to create message. I'm not going to show you because most of you are very good with technology. Go to the word to, like you're sending any email, either put my name in, or if you want to ask someone else in the class a question, you may do that as well, okay? The only thing with this is to check your message, you have to go into the Blackboard course to see if you have any new messages. Does that make sense? So I could send all of you guys a message through the Blackboard course, but you would have to go on Blackboard to see if you have any messages or not. So you can check and send them through that one little button that I made yesterday. So we can test that out. I was going to send one of you a test message, but I figured I should wait until I tell you about it so you're not wondering where it came from. That's a good way for you to stay in touch with me and someone else in the class if you are not able to use your own personal email at school or at home. So I am still okay with you emailing me through my North Hills email from your personal email. Okay, Mary?
The other day I tried to go on Blackboard, and then it said that my information wasn't right.
Try it again because you're in there.
Yeah.
And you did you try it at school or at home? Yeah, sometimes Blackboard is weird. It will tell you that you typed something in wrong, but you really did not. Do you know what I'm saying? So Blackboard, that happens. So just try it again. It should be fine. That even happens to me, and I use Blackboard all the time. Annalise?
That happened to me, like, I was updating whenever I typed in my password, and I do all those steps. It'll come up, like, when I click on, when you type in your password,
Right.
go to the video, you click on my password.
Yeah.
It says, it just brings me to, like, this page thing, and, like, I see it.
Yeah. It's difficult sometimes, so just ignore that. Doug, go ahead. You don't have to. It's not like it's anything. All you're doing is going on there to listen to recordings. So if you guys didn't change your password from welcome to something else, it's not the end of the world because, again, we're the only ones that have access to it and know it. All that's on our videos. Now, I will tell you, though, with the messages, make sure that if you're sending a message, it's related to math. I can check the sent and received messages. Just make sure they're appropriate. I don't think that I really need to tell you guys that, but figure I should just in case. So if you are sending a message to me or to someone else in the class, make sure it's math related and it's appropriate. Okay? I more so say that to the high school students, but just an FYI. Okay? All right, so it's a Monday. Today we are going to finish up classifying numbers, talk a little bit more about that challenging absolute value worksheet I had you guys try. And then we are going to talk about today for our lesson adding integers. So what are the rules? How do we do it? Okay? Before we get to that, we're going to review this. Mary, question, or you want to do the first one? Yes. So types of numbers, we are on the page 29 in your homework packet. So everyone should be turned to that and ready to check it. Okay, Mary, go ahead. First one. Good. Rational, real. Square root of 400. Annalise. Good job. 0. Zach. Good. 4 1/3. Charles. Good. Square root of 13. Justin. Careful. Real is right. It's a square root of 13. Go ahead, Justin. Okay, why is it irrational? Yeah, it just keeps going. It's not a perfect square. So if it's not a perfect square, it's going to be irrational. 4 pi, Donatus. Irrational and? Good. 1. What type of number is 1? Matt? Yep. Great job. Negative 1.11. Alex? Good. Rational, real. Negative 5. Mary. Good. Charles, square root of negative 24. Good. Square root of 4, Alyssa. Good. Emma H, 4/5, the last one. Good. Rational, real. Questions on this warm-up? I'm going to do a review of them when we get to the homework, but for now, questions on the warm-up part of this. Okay, raise your hand if you got all of them right. Okay, raise your hand if you missed one. Very good job. Zach, question? Four-fifths. Okay, an integer is never a decimal, never a fraction, ever. An integer includes all negatives, all positive, 0, but no negatives, no decimals. Sorry, no decimals, no fractions is what I meant to say. Okay, an integer is always a nice number. Anyone else have questions or comments on that? Jeremy, are you okay with the 4 pi? Positive? Okay. Annalise? Yes, rational numbers always include negatives. All right, let's go over the second warm-up, and then I will review the types of numbers roles. Okay, so this was kind of, oh man, my smartboard's being very weird today. This was kind of definitely a challenge warm-up, but you should have been able to figure them out. Some of them were kind of weird. You had to look at them for a second. So the first one, who would like to put those in order for us from least to greatest? Adam, go ahead. Oh, wow. Just make sure you notice the numbers next time, okay? Because they're two separate. Emma M? That's fine. I'm going to put it as the original, so go ahead and tell me what you have. Okay, what's next? There was a number before that. You sure you didn't have it written down? You just didn't see it? Jeremy, what's next? Bless you. This one? Okay, ready? The absolute value of -7 is +7. Drop this negative down, drop this negative down. And then -7 is +7. Is that what you did, or you were confused on it? Okay. Did I unconfuse you? Hopefully, okay. All right, hold on, let me time out. Does anyone else have a question before I keep going? Okay, who would like to tell us the next number? Sean, next number. Good. Mary, next number. Good. Alyssa, next number. Good. Charles, next number. Good. And I'm going to just write it as it is up here, which is -3. Justin, next number. Good. And I'm going to write it like it's up here. And then the last one is this weird one, which I just went over. Okay, so there's the order from least to greatest. I wrote it as they were in the original problem. You can write them however. It doesn't have to be in that exact order. Okay, second one. Would anyone like to try to tell us the entire thing? Charles, you want to try? Okay. Oh, hold on, I wrote it wrong. Okay, Charles, go ahead. Okay. 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 Great job. Perfect. Now, will they be this hard on your test? No, but I just thought it would be fun for a Monday to make you think about this a little bit. And anytime you see challenge worksheet at the top, these are meant for an honors level class, which you guys are considered. Okay, number 3. Donatus, what'd you get? No. Matt? Good. Alex, number 4? Good. Number 5, Emma M? Great job. Number 6, Sean. Good job. Number 7, Mary. Okay, I'll come right back to that. Before I do that, tell me what you got for number 7. Good. Number 7 is a negative. These are hard. Number 8, Alex. No. Charles. Yep. Number 9. These ones are tricky. We only have only one hand. You have a 50-50 chance here, guys. Justin? Nope. This one's negative. That's okay. Number 10, Doug? Good, positive. Okay, so let me start with number 5, and then I'll come back to questions on that part. All right, so Mary, number 5, we have B, which is 9, plus negative A. Okay, so I'm going to put the negative, excuse me, that's already in front of the A, and rewrite negative 6. Okay, so negative, negative 6. Remember, 2 negatives back to back always makes a positive. It is. This is a negative A, and then this is negative 6. So you're plugging negative 6 in for A, where A is already negative. So those negatives collide, they make a positive. Yeah, just pay very close attention to what you're using to evaluate the expression. Does that help? Okay, Annalise? Okay, you didn't get to number 7 through 10 yet, you just didn't have time? Okay, then I want you to try those on your own. If you don't get them, see me tomorrow and I'll help you on those, okay? Number 4, Mary, you still have a question on this one? Okay, I'll be right there. Okay. Annalise, number 4. Let's see, where can I write this? Okay, so we have absolute value of negative B. Okay, B is 9. So we have absolute value of negative 9 minus negative A. So A is already negative 6. So you have to plug negative 6 in for A. So this is tricky because there's already a negative there. And then you're putting a negative 6 in for A. Annalise, does that part make sense? Correct, because absolute value is always positive. So this becomes positive 9 minus, I'm going to drop down this minus, these 2 negatives back to back become a positive, okay, and then drop down your 6, so you have 9 minus 6. So be careful with those 2 negatives back to back. Do you need me? Okay, hold on 1 second, guys. That's okay. It's okay. No? Oh, okay. Good. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. That's okay. You're fine. Annalise, does that make? Okay. Okay. Just be very careful, like I said with Mary, with those negatives. Okay, I'm going to do that one. Charles, do you? Okay, back to number 5. Go ahead. Yep. Well, it depends, though, whether this would have been negative or not. Because remember, absolute value is like a grouping symbol. So you have to do what is inside first. So it might have been 9 minus 6 instead of 9 plus 6. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Now, in this case, what you said is exactly right. In this case, because you know there were 2 negatives back to back, which always become a plus. So yes, I agree with you 100% on this example. But that's not always going to be the case. Do you understand what I mean by that? Okay. But yeah, that's perfect. Exactly. You will never end up with a negative for this answer because the entire problem is in the absolute value bracket. Exactly. Yeah, good discussion on that. Okay, let me go to number 6. Annalise, we have a negative in front. B is 9, so we have 9 minus, in parentheses, this A is already negative, so negative, and then A is negative 6, negative, negative 6, okay? Let me erase this. So now at this point, I'm going to drop down this negative that is in front of the absolute value bar. 9 minus negative 6 becomes positive 6. And then 9 minus 6 is 3. There's a negative in front of the absolute value symbol, so that's where the negative 3 comes from. Yes, absolute value is always positive, but if there's a negative hanging out in front, drop that down. It makes that entire problem negative. Okay? You're welcome. Okay, before I go over one of the problems for 7 through 10, anything else on 1 through 6? No? Okay. So let's talk about number 7. Anyone want to try to explain? I'll let you guys explain. Anyone want to try to explain to us why is number 7? Why would x be a negative number? Why? Mary, you want to try? Good job. Good job. So it's going to be negative. The absolute value of a negative x is positive. There's still a negative hanging out in front. Okay? So that's going to be x is a negative number. Charles? Yes, they should have done that. Sometimes the book's not always the best. Yeah, I even think that they could have done this where they weren't equations. They just gave us an expression. You know what I mean? And said, is it positive or negative? Because it's hard to tell what x we're looking at here. Right. Right. This is a good bonus type question for a test, but I would use different variables if I was making it. Right. Right. Mary? Okay. Okay, well, let's look at number 9. So number 9, I'm going to drop down the negative x equals the absolute value of negative x is x. So this one's opposite. X is equal to negative x. So here's all you need to do. All you need to do is simplify them. The absolute value of a negative is a positive. Okay? So this one's a positive, but this one is a negative. So since they're asking us whether x is positive or negative, this whole equation is flipped. X is now equal to a negative x. So that's how you know this one's negative. Okay, let me show you this one. This might help. Let me show you number 8. Okay, number 8, we have negative x equals negative absolute value of negative x. So I'm going to drop down the negative that's already in front of the absolute value symbol. Absolute value of negative x is x. All right, so this is kind of interesting. Well, not when you add, when you multiply or divide. So this is way above where we are right now, but let me show you what they did here. Negative x equals negative x. If we divide both sides by negative 1 or multiply both sides by negative 1 to try to get x by itself, we end up with x equals x. This is way beyond this chapter. Hold on a second. Do you see where I got that or no? Mary? So I am trying to, this is solving an equation, which is above this chapter. That's why it's a challenge worksheet. I'm trying to get x by itself. So to get rid of a negative 1, we can multiply or divide both sides of the equation by a negative 1. And that gets rid of it. So you're left with x equals x. Look, if I would have tried to have gotten rid of the negative on number 9, watch what would happen. These would cancel. We would end up with x equals x divided by negative 1 is a negative x or a negative 1x. So no matter what I do on 7 or 9, it's always going to be x equals a negative x. Always. Over here, you end up with negatives on both sides. But we know a negative divided by a negative times a negative is always a positive. And again, this is way beyond chapter 1, but it makes you guys think a little bit. You sure that helps a little? Okay. Annalise? No, this would be like a bonus question. Like if I wouldn't test you on this because it's not in the chapter, quote unquote. I'm just making absolute value more difficult. But sometimes I like to throw on fun bonus questions. So it could be a bonus. Yep, yep, yep. You got it. Doug. I know, that's what right. I just explained that. Yep. Yep. Mary? Okay, so basically, here's a shortcut. If one of them is negative and one of them is positive, the answer is negative. Does that help? If both of them are negative, the answer is positive. If both of them are positive, the answer is positive. That's what they wanted you to get from that. Yep. Yep. Okay, anyone else? Okay, I am going to wait to go over our homework until tomorrow, okay? Because I want to talk about adding integers for the last 10 minutes of class. So I'm going to hold off on reviewing types of numbers and going over them until tomorrow. Are you guys okay with that? I promise I'll get to it. I want to get into adding integers today because I also want to make that lesson a little bit more difficult. Of course, right? So homework, keep it. I checked it. I will put your points in. I will go over it tomorrow. So here's what I need you guys to do is take out your notes, open up to page 14. And while you're flipping there, were types of numbers a little bit easier once you did them for homework? Okay. Because I'm going to spend this whole week still reviewing them a little bit every day, but I just want to make sure they were getting a little bit easier. Oh, definitely. Yes. Okay, so the smartboard's having some issues here. Just give it a second. I think I just need to restart my computer. It's just being so slow today. No power nap. Okay, here we are. It's here. Sean. The OOO worksheet, that would go under the homework tab of your binder since it was considered homework. Adam. No, we have 10 minutes. The class has been started. We start the class as soon as we go over warm up and homework. And this lesson is very easy. Okay, so 1.5, we're going to go right to, after you write down, if you want to write down the objective, go right to where it says definition. And Adam, this usually doesn't happen. It's just we had 2 warm-ups today, and it's a Monday. Some days I like to spend a lot of time on the warm-up, though, because it's a good challenge for you guys. Okay, we're going to go right to the definitions because we already did 2 warm-ups. Okay, first definition is additive inverse. Okay, so very like middle of the page there where it says additive inverse. Additive inverse is the opposite of a number.
Is that kind of like what we did in absolute?
Yep. Additive inverse is the opposite of a number, so it's just like saying what's the opposite? It's the additive inverse. One is negative and one is positive. So additive inverse is the opposite of a number. Additive inverse property says if you add them, so the sum of a number and its opposite is always 0. So if you add additive inverse numbers, the sum is always 0. Zach, we're on page 14. Okay, we're right here. Should be writing those down. So the sum of a number and its there's golf pencils in that thing if you need it, okay? Or if you need to sharpen your pencil, there's a pencil sharpener right on top. Yep. So additive inverse property says, and I'll put in my own words, if you add opposites, you get 0. Additive inverse property, if you add opposites, you get 0. So additive inverse is just like saying what is the opposite of this number. The additive inverse property is when you have the sum of a number and its opposite, you get 0. So additive inverse property, we add opposites, we get 0. Emma M? Go ahead. Oh yeah, I'm getting to that. Yes. Yep, you're just ahead of me. Any other questions before I tell you the 2 roles? Which you've done this before, but you guys had told me at the beginning of the year, no one actually taught you how to add or subtract negatives. Is that correct? No one actually told you the role? Okay. I'm going to actually tell you the role, but I think most of you just know how to do it. At least that's what happened the past couple years. Okay, rule number 1. When adding 2 integers that have the same sign, add the absolute values and use the common sign. When adding 2 integers that have the same sign, add the absolute values and use the common sign. That is why it was important for me to do a warm-up today that had absolute values in it. You need to remember that absolute value always makes the number positive. Add the absolute value and use the common sign. Doug, question? Use the same sign. So for example, when you're adding and both numbers are positive, add the numbers, the answer is positive. When you are adding and both the numbers are negative, add the absolute value of the numbers and use the common sign. They both have a negative, so the answer would be negative. Annalise? That's the second rule. I'm getting there. Okay, so here's an example. This is really challenging. What's 6 plus 2? This is the hardest thing all year, Alyssa. Gosh, how did you know that, Alyssa? How did you know that? I'm just kidding. Okay, so the rule. Add them, use the common sign. 6 plus 2 is 8. They're both positive. Throw the positive in front. All right, Doug, what's 14 plus 7? Good job. Right, that's gonna happen. Okay, let's stay on to this for now, okay? Okay, -5 plus -2. So here's ones where we're adding, they're both negatives. The rule is take the absolute value of the numbers, which is 5 and 2, add them, throw the negative in front. So Mary, what would the answer be? Good. -7. Add them, throw the sign in front. Okay, Alyssa, what's -13 plus -3? I'm skipping. Good. -16. Okay, let's do one more. Charles, what's -6 plus -6? Good. So this is pretty basic, right? When you're adding, it's the same sign. Add them the way they are. Put the sign in front. Matt. Oh, yeah. Do you guys, anyone know, want to take a guess, or I kind of mentioned this last week, why is that parenthesis there? Not only to confuse you, but there is a reason. Sean? Yeah, it's so that we know that that number is negative. So it's just putting it there to organize it. I like to have it nice and neat, it's organized, and I did type these note packets. So that just tells us that it's negative. Make sense? Okay. All right, now this rule is a little bit challenging. I'm being sarcastic, but this is the second rule, okay, for adding. There's only 2 rules for adding. So when adding a positive and a negative integer, subtract the absolute value of both integers and use the sign of the larger integer. Okay? Subtract the absolute value of the numbers, use the sign of the larger integer. Mary? Yep, additive inverse property. Exactly. That's why I wanted to bring that up first, the additive inverse property. And this lesson is very short because there's only that definition and there's 2 rules. And has anyone heard of this before? Subtract the absolute value of the numbers, take the sign of the larger one. Okay, a couple of you guys. And if that's a little bit weird to you, I'll explain it with a couple examples. Mary, go ahead. Yes. Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely. If you ever want to check them, I have the entire note packet answer key always in my binder. So if you ever want to check them, come see me in the morning or send me an email, whatever's easier for you. Sean? Go ahead. Yep. It is. It's probably just that you word it differently, which is fine. Okay, so let's try one because Sean was going to explain it, and no matter how you do it, it's probably similar. The wording just might be different. So 6 plus -4. We are adding. The signs are opposite. Take the absolute value of each number. So ignore the signs. Subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 is the larger integer. It's positive. So the answer is 2. Yep. So let me explain this one to you guys too. -3 plus 8. We're adding those opposite signs. Take the absolute value of the numbers, which is 3 and 8, subtract them. Normally, 8 minus 3 is 5. Take the sign of the larger number. Am I making sense? Does that make sense? Okay, Mary. Yeah, but whenever you take the absolute values, subtract them normally, which means take the big number minus the small number, which is back to like first, second grade, the way I'm talking. But you know what I mean. Subtract them like you guys learned to subtract, and then take the sign of the larger number. Emma M. Yep. I'm going to get to that one. Hold on. What is this third one called? -7 plus 7, Justin. 0. It's the additive inverse property. When you add opposites, you get 0. When you add opposites, you get 0. Okay, this third one, 2 plus -5. So take the absolute values of the numbers, which is 2 and 5, subtract them. 5 minus 2 is 3. Is the larger number positive or negative? Annalise, good. That means your answer is negative. So take the absolute value of the numbers, subtract them, take the sign of the larger number. On those 4 examples, give me a thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. On those 4 examples, I'm trying to go slow enough with the rolls here. Okay, wow, very good. Okay, I want you guys to try the next 2. I'm going to put the light on so I can see your work. Try the next 2. Take the absolute value of the numbers, subtract them, take the sign of the larger one. Donatus, good job. Okay, next 2 or next 4 if you guys have time. Good job. Good job. Okay, you guys could have done this lesson on your own. Good. 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 All right. Emma H., what did you get for the 5 plus -12? Good. -3 plus 19. Doug. Okay, those of you that did the next one. 12 plus -2. Emma M. Good. Mary. -22 plus 22. Good job. Okay, I have a challenge problem for you. Emma M. Okay, I'll get to it 1 second. Mary. Oh. My smartboard's freezing. Good. The one that's 12 plus 7? They are positive. 12 plus 7? Yes. So that next section is the mixed examples. So it has both roles mixed up. When you're adding and the sign is the same, add them, put the sign in front. Make sense? Here we go again with my smartboard not responding. Annalise.
This isn't really a question with the lesson, but I just had a question about Blackboard.
Okay.
So I was on like the weekend, like you were teaching a lesson, except you didn't say the answers. So on like some of the problems you didn't like you didn't write all of them down.
Oh, because we skipped them.
Yeah.
That's what you mean. Oh, don't worry about it. I see what you're saying. That they said it, but you couldn't hear it because the microphone's on me. Yeah. The ones we skip, you don't need to do. You don't need to worry about the ones we skip ever. I only do the problems that I think you guys need to be able to do well in your homework and to understand it. Okay? Justin. Okay, so let's do this one since it's up there. Okay, and then I'll explain homework. 50, it's an extra example, so what I need to do is add it on your paper wherever you have room. 50 plus -65 plus 25. This is an OOO problem with adding integers. So after you write it down, I need someone to explain, well, what is the process here? Where would I start? 50 plus -65 plus 25. Well, we have lots of hands. Charles, what do we do? Okay, so how do you need to do that first? Good. OOO tells us add, subtract from left to right. So Mary, what's 50 plus negative 65? Good. So subtract, take the sign of the larger number. Drop down the plus 25. Alex, how do we do this next part? Good. Good. So subtract them, and then how do we know what sign to take? Good. So the answer is positive 10. Mary.
Well, I had I did 50 plus 25, and then I got 75, and then I did 70 plus 60.
Okay, that's not always going to work out that way. So be careful. Always go from left to right. Adding, subtracting, left to right, multiplying, dividing, left to right. But thank you for bringing that up. Okay. So adding integers. First rule, when you're adding and it's the same sign, who can tell us what to do? When you're adding and it's the same sign. Sean, what do you do?
You just pretty much add the absolute values and then use the same sign.
Good. Good. So when you're adding it, it's the same sign. Add them, use the sign that they both have. We're going to forget about that. When you're adding in, there's opposite signs. So one is positive and one is negative. Who can tell us what to do? Justin. Not always 0. When you're adding and they're opposite signs, the numbers could be different. So when you're adding and one number is a positive and one number is a negative. Good job. So take the absolute value of the numbers, subtract them, take the larger number's sign. So if the larger number is negative, the answer is negative. If the larger number is positive, the answer is positive. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, since the smartboard is having issues, let me just explain your homework. Go ahead and open up your homework packet to practice 1.5. So 1.5. Practice 1.5. So listen, because the smartboard's being weird. Okay, so here's what you need to do. Back and front, you're going to do all of them. So 1 to 31. Okay? Listen carefully, though. 3 through 11. Ignore the number line. I'll say that again. 3 through 11. Ignore the number line. Even though the directions say to use it, I'm the directions, so ignore the number lines. Okay? So there's a back and a front. This should not take you long. And what I did have typed on the smartboard is do not use a calculator. Okay? You're practicing your rules. Do not. You know why? On the test on this part, there's no calculator. Okay? They're easy. Just know those 2 rules. Okay? All right, that's it. I'm going to get packed up. So calculator's back if you borrowed one, because you don't need it for your homework.